Yeah, I just.
Is that what you mean by everything by yourself?
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of things going on.
Okay.
And I know to solve that, I could, you know, give up that, and then, you know, prioritize this. But I have to give that up.
So maybe, so it's giving up activities that has to be done?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Like that. That's very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to share?
I wrote down to be physically present and engaged with my children, to watch them grow and appreciate my time spent with them, have given them the key tools and lessons to have extraordinary lives and be the best versions of themselves. I no longer want to mourn the losing time feeling, but sit in it.
Nice. That's excellent.
Yeah.
You're really good with words.
Yeah, very nice. And what can get in the way?
Self-doubt, I think. I think other people's insecurities have kind of put some roadblocks up for me. And then time.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of kids. And last year when I walked away from my career after 15 years was solely because I lost 15 years of time. And my son's a freshman. I'm like, you're a freshman? And I can't remember half of his life because I've been so busy in a career that I absolutely love my work. But when I realized that time was no longer on my side, the career wasn't worth it, you know? So I think that's, like, I want to sit in time. I don't want to chase in it or feel guilt about losing it all.
Yeah.
You know? So this is what I need, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well put. And how can you prevent that?
For me, I think because my life is so crazy with the kids, staying organized. I'm a list. These little stilo pads are everywhere in my home, Post-it notes, you name it. So it's everywhere. Kids have them on their foreheads, literally. But staying organized, keeping my eye on the big picture.
Nice.
And also, I have to learn to sit in time. I've been such a workhorse, you know, and love working, I'm addicted to it. Getting out of the boss mode and just kind of sitting in like, okay, there's really nothing to do, Shay, you're okay. Like, it's okay not to be doing anything. And I think that's where, you know, I get the most done is when I'm in that moment. But it's hard to get yourself there if you love to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Very good acknowledgement for that. Excellent. So, does everybody feel like they came up with something that was pretty powerful, that makes you feel motivated? Okay, so it asked you to put it on your phone, so hopefully you did that, because that's a great way to do it. Like I actually have a bold law, but I utilize my screensaver all the time. So having it in a place so that you see it. I also would recommend, if you do have a coach, give them a copy of this. Let them know your goal. Because what I know for me personally, when it comes to my big why, is what could get in the way of achieving your big why? The answer is very simple. It's 3 letters, and it's you. And so I have certain activities that I have to do that keep me out of my own monkey mind is my biggest issue. I know that. So I have certain activities such as my journaling and my reading in the morning. They have massive impact on me. My husband reads to me in bed every night from the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff book. And you don't realize how much it does for you until you take a couple weeks off and you're not doing those activities and you're like, what is wrong with me? Right? And you go, oh, I'm missing all the activities that ground me and keep me focused. And yeah, so solid activities and things that help me stay out of my own way is a priority for me. And you got to get clear on like, what is that that's getting in my way? So for anybody who's not sure, if there's things on your big why and it's getting in your way and you can't figure out what's getting in your way, have a conversation with your coach or somebody else, right? Something's getting in my way, help me figure it out, right? Makes sense? Because you need a solid plan. All right, we are going to talk about your monetary goal. So this is a pretty simple work through on page 23. So the first thing we get to do is we get to go down to average sales price and we get to massively change that. Because notice, what does it say?
200,000.
Yeah, that's not really our average sales price here. A lot of our buyers wish it was, but no, it is not. House average sale price right now is right around 730,000, I think.
740, somewhere in there.
740. And then you work in condos. Also, for those of you can be newer, it's up to you what amount you want to put in there, sort of on what you're going to focus. I know some of you in different directions as far as what you're focusing on. So if you have a number and you know what your average that you're looking at is going to be, go ahead and plug that number in. If you don't, I would say pick something between the 6 and 750 range and put it in there. Yeah. So I personally actually do focus on entry-level condos, so my average is lower, the volume is higher, so just however you want to work.
What's that? Or how much what's the average?
What is entry-level condos? On a long-term rental is about a little under 400,000. On a short-term, about half, 500,000, half a million.
Okay.
Yeah, for one bedroom, or the entry-level.
And it all depends where it is.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you get down into the Wiley market, then
Entry level in Wiley is Grand Champions, and
Yeah.
you're starting at 1 there,
million.
900.
Yeah, 900 to a million. So it just depends on where you're at,
It's
what
where
you're
you're at.
focusing on, and what you want to. Yeah, I kind of went. Honestly, when I first started here, I got an open house that I could hold pretty much every day, so that became what I focused on, because I was like, hey, if I can be out there, I'm good with this. Just give it to me. Let's do it.
I remember when Harbor Lights were selling for $35,000, and now they're 165. So
Right. It's crazy. So pick your average sales price. On average commission rate to you, we're seeing the 2.5s, we're seeing the 3s, we're actually seeing a few 2s offered to the buyer's agent. I would put in 2.75 on here because that's between 2.5 and 3. We're still pretty much seeing 2.5 and 3s, so 2.75 works. And then, so average commission, so pick your average sales price, multiply it times the commission rate, and you're gonna have what your average commission is. I think if you did 733, it works out to about 15,000. That's of course a gross commission. So once you've plugged in those 3 numbers, then I want you to go to the top and just write in your annual monetary goal. So you know your big why. What will it take to fund your life and your big why? So write down your monetary goal here.
Not to sell, but to make. So,
Yes, it's your gross goal. So it's before taxes and expenses. So that CGI calculator I showed you guys the other day comes in really handy for this. Like if your goal is 100,000, you're gonna wanna write down, you're gonna be paying taxes and stuff, so you might wanna, and you're gonna have expenses, probably wanna write 150, depending on how you do your taxes. I don't know about you guys, but I get as little of the government as I possibly can. Oh, that was on video, darn it, I'm in trouble now. I do it all above board. So go to the next page. So you've got that average sale price, average commission rate, average commission, GCI, just transfer the numbers to that page, so you've got them on there. Our market center cap is 35,000. Notice it says 20,000 there, so you're gonna change that to 35,000 is our market center cap. And that's because our average sale price is not 200,000. And because it's more expensive to function here. The royalty cap is still going to be 3,000. That's your money to Keller Williams International. So the total there is 38,000. So we're capped at 35,000 plus 3 is 38,000 for your market center. Everybody following along so far?
No.
Okay.
I think it's
So, are you on the,
Well, on the annual net CGI
go back
goal.
one page,
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet.
Right, and that's where my goal for annual income is, right here, right? Monetary goal.
Yeah, it looks like you might actually be missing a page.
Page 24.
You have 24? I think I'm missing 24.
24 is I have your turn, know your commission.
Oh, yeah, okay, so this would be 35,000, that would be 38,000.
Okay,
So, because we're capped at 35 for the
Oh.
market center,
all right,
so then it would be 38 right there at the total. That would be our market center.
got it, all right.
And then this is just the numbers that you had,
Right,
there you go.
now I understand,
Now we're moving on to the next page.
got it.
If you're following along, perfect, Bob.
GCI is the,
Okay,
Oh, yes, okay, yeah,
35.
so you want a net gross commission income goal, so, right, and that's where you put in your, right, remember, your net gross commission income goal is your gross income, right? So what you have to do is you have to take your gross income you want, where like I did the example, it was 150 because I want to net 100, right? I gotta pay for my expenses and taxes and all that stuff. So I said 150, so notice they have 100,000 on net GCI goal.
right,
So I would put 150 in there, and then the market center cap is 38,000. And then you add them up, right? Because you gotta include your market center cap. So in my scenario, it would be 188,000. And then the average commission per transaction. And just remember, if you're in coaching, there is gonna be a 10% on your first 3 transactions, but you are capped at, I think it's 12,000, so you're not gonna be paying more than 12,000. And so you can include that in that 38 if you want to, and just take it up to 50, and then you'll know what's there. Unlike the capping program with KW though, that is just the first 3 transactions. Even if it's well below 12,000, it's still the same scenario. That's what gets you the 1-year coaching program. So then you come with your GCI, your A and B. Everybody have that number? Then you had your average commission per transaction that you worked out on the previous page, depending on your sales price and commission rate. And so you're gonna write that down, and then you're gonna divide.
right.
Yeah, so just change this to, what was your goal? Perfect, so yeah, 150 there.
It's supposed to be like for this year, just in general.
Yeah, for this, I mean, I always say do it for this year. Don't change it, don't change that. You were gonna lower it, weren't you? Don't lower it. Don't sell yourself short. Here's the reality. Time may not be correct on the goal you set. It may take you a little longer, but isn't that okay?
Yeah.
Right? For a lot of people, it's like, okay, if it took you an extra 3 months to get there, would you be all right with that? Right? So, yeah, don't sell yourself short. All right, so that will tell you how many transactions you need once you divide C by D. Okay, so then you add this and this. So 188, and then divide it by 20,000. So you see how we worked in the gross commission, worked in the market center amount, put it all together, divide it. Make sense? Okay, how many transactions do we need?
I got 13.
13? Nice.
18.
18? Perfect.
About
15?
15.6.
0.6. That's 16. We round up. We never round down because we don't want to be short, right? Good.
11.
11. Excellent.
9.
10. Round it up.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, always round it up. Even if it's 9.1, you still go up because I can't give you a 1/10 of a real estate sale. Right? 8. Perfect. All right, so we got our number. Now, obviously, if you divide that by 12, it gives you an idea of how many you gotta sell every month, right? And that's closed. That's closed. So again, you can work backwards from the closed, right? How many listing appointments do I need to go on? How many buyers? It's all numbers. And if you track it, you will know your numbers. All right. Good. So you know how many transactions it will take. So how many transactions do you need each month? Answer that question on page 26. Then it says, write this number down in your calendar at the top of every month. Do it now as a visual reminder. So if you do a Google Calendar, just put it on the, all day activity at the top of the beginning of the month. That's your goal.
Round up.
Well, it's interesting by months. You want to front load your real estate business always, always, always. In other words, if my goal is to do 7 listing appointments a month, I want to do 4 the first week so that I'm not playing catch up. Because the reality is that that's my goal, and I do 2 the first week, I'm going to have to catch them up later. You never want to fall behind in real estate. You want to front load your business, right? That's just how it is. Some people, so 3 hours a day is the lead generation. Some people will do 7 on Monday because they want to get as much done on Monday as they can, so then they're not having to do as many by later in the week. I have a feeling those are older people that get tired later in the week, because I can really relate to that when I'm like, it's Friday and I'm just tired, right? And I'm like, oh, I gotta get on the phone, and I won't be the most energetic person on the phone. So, but yeah. All right, so what are your ahas from that?
It's easy to track this stuff.
It's not hard. Yeah.
I like the front loading, some people when they schedule things, they want to make everything even. I do so much every day.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if with your transactions, if you're like, oh, okay, so I have to do 1 a month. Well, what if you do 4 the first month? Like, get it all done so that
Yes.
everything else is gravy.
You had 13.
So I would shoot for 2 a month, because what if one of them doesn't fall through? Or
Well,
one
and here's the
doesn't-
thing, remember,
yeah.
that's your goal for closings.
Yes.
Then you have to know how many of your escrows don't close.
Mm. Yeah.
You don't know that at this point, so you have to kind of go with an area average,
Yeah.
right? How many escrows are falling through right now, right? And if your escrow, and then you look at your numbers and you go, why are a lot of my escrows falling through? If a lot of my escrows are falling through, I need to go take a bulletproof your escrows class, because, I need to be better at figuring out why are these escrows falling through,
Yeah.
right? So it's all about the numbers. It's all a numbers game. And this leads you all the way back up to how many phone calls do I have to make every day? How many people do I have to talk
That's
to?
exactly right.
That's where it leads to when you work it backwards. It's on page 131 on the MREA book, by the way, is the breakdown all the way up to how many calls.
I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe it's not related, but it
That's
just
okay.
popped into my head. So when you said an escrow doesn't go through and you're looking at yourself as to why it didn't go through, tell me if this would be your fault, because I just learned this the other day.
Okay.
That, when you're going through escrow, and let's say somebody wants to buy a property and they have to, they want to do renovations on it and everything, and then you find out it doesn't go through because no lenders want to lend money to improve that property. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And is
That
that
can
your
happen.
fault? Because if you're an agent, you should be like, hey, I know you want to buy this property, but I'm looking at these beams and this roof, and people don't like to lend money for this type of property, and you should be notifying that instead of going through escrow and then it flops.
A lot of properties are not lendable. Absolutely. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
properties that people are like, oh, I want to buy an REO. And I'm like, okay, why an REO? Real estate owned. Foreclosure.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Why an REO?
Seems cheaper.
It's cheaper,
Okay.
they can fix it up.
So what you're looking for is something that you can buy as an investment property, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you looking to flip it?
Yeah.
Okay, so see what I'm asking questions, right? I'm digging deeper, like what's the reasoning behind REO? What a lot of people want to do is, I want to buy an REO with a loan. Okay, a lot of these properties You can't get a loan. You gotta pay cash. If you're not a cash buyer, you're probably not gonna get it, right? So you have to know these things and learn them. But yeah, a lot of times, even the listings will say no loans, because there's things that are wrong with the property. And the moment that a lender comes in there, they're gonna say, "Ooh, no, won't touch it." It has to be livable condition, and there's requirements on that.
Yeah.
So you have to do a little more research on something like that. Yeah, research. You always gotta look at it and go, okay, what happened? How could I have changed that scenario? And it's a learning experience, right? Every experience is either awesome or a learning experience.
Yeah.
That's it. Awesome or a learning experience. Like, you got two silos with me, right? Like, that's it. All right, so let's talk about skill number 2, page 27, commitment to daily lead generation. So I want to break this down a little bit for you. So if real estate was a factory, so if you ran a factory, let's say that's what you did, you would know how long it takes to make a widget, right? Because if you didn't, you'd have no idea what your expenses were on making the widget, right? You got to pay for, I was going to say labor, but a lot of widgets are made on machines, but still you're paying money for the machine to be working, right? So you have to know your hours. All right, so in this scenario, 2 hours, step 1, 2 hours to step 2, 2 hours to step 3, and 2 hours to step 4, so that's 8 hours total. So you would also know that if you didn't do step 1 at the end of the day, you got no widgets, right? Like, all the steps have to be done. Real estate is literally no different. Time is your lead generation. So lead generation is the first thing that you have to be doing, because without lead generation, you ain't got no appointments, right? That's step 1. Then you work on to appointments. With appointments, you can create agreements. With agreements, you can create contracts. And with contracts, you can create closes, right? And notice it says 90 days is the time, okay? So for every day you don't lead generate, 90 days later, you can expect
Nothing.
no money. And mama got to get paid. You don't want that to happen. All right. So let's talk about these questions. So how long on average does it take to get a buyer or seller to sign a contract for a sale or listing? You guys know?
Well, you have the buyer and you have the seller and you just need them to sign the contract, or you haven't found a buyer and you haven't found a seller.
Exactly.
Like you're looking
So this is when you found a buyer or seller, but then you want to get them to sign a contract for sale or listing. So how long on average does that take?
It shouldn't take very long.
Shouldn't take very long.
No?
3
days.
3 days. Okay, so it's such an interesting conversation, right? So how long on average does it take to get a buyer or seller to sign a contract for sale or listing? 3 days in a perfect world, except for when they're old and have to pack up their whole 3,000 square foot house and clean it and organize it and ship it back to the mainland, and then it can be 6 to 9 months or a year, right? That's just the reality of our scenarios, okay? So just be aware of that. That's how it works. All right, how long does it take for a transaction to close and for you to get paid?
90 days.
So for an actual transaction to close after it's been open, escrow time frame.
6 to 8 weeks.
Usually 30 to 60. Can you close a property in 5 days?
No.
I've done it. It's no fun. It is no fun.
Yeah.
5
Cash
days.
buyers.
Cash buyer.
So what's the one thing that takes the longest period of time in your transactions?
Lender.
Yeah, the loan. Right. Good. Okay. How quickly do you want to get paid, or how long can you go without a payday? Ooh, there's a good question. Right now, from this moment forward, how long can you go without a payday? Write it down. You don't have to tell me.
Not long.
Write it down. Give me an actual time frame, but write it down. You do not have to tell me. It's amazing how much harder you'll work as that day starts to approach. You're just like a hustling machine when I'm getting something going. All right, what will it take for you to get paid so you can begin to fund your big why? You guys know?
Lead generate and work the steps afterwards.
Pretty much, right? We broke it down for you. All right, so this is a lead generation funnel on page 29. Just want you guys to see what this looks like. So this is basically what we were talking about going backwards. So the closing is the payday, right? So that's what we just worked down, is how many paydays do I need? How many closes do I need? But then we also have, we move up the funnel, we have contracts. We have agreements. Do you guys understand the difference between a contract and an agreement?
No. What is that?
Okay, a contract is a
Yeah.
purchase contract.
Yeah.
Escrow open. Yeah, so contract is escrow opening. An agreement is a listing agreement or a buyer broker sign.
Oh, all right.
So that's the difference between the two. So just because you have a listing agreement doesn't mean you have somebody buying it.
Right.
You're not in escrow yet.
Okay.
So contracts would be purchase contracts to get you into escrow. Agreements would be listings or buyer broker signs. Appointments would be where we connect to get them to sign, right? And leads are what? What's a lead?
Phone calls and shaking hands.
Right, so that's lead generating. So a lead is anyone who says, I want to buy real estate at some point. That's a lead, right? So when somebody says, I'm interested, right? That's something. Okay. Next page. So calling every session. Every Ignite Power session, we will together make phone calls for business. We will help each other, support each other, and share each other's success. Your Ignite faculty will ask for and post your results for the entire class to celebrate. So this means you'll need names and contact information every day for calling in class. You may be thinking, what if I run out of people to call? None of you are thinking that because you got hundreds of names in your phone. Am I right? Yes. Does anybody not have hundreds of names in their phone?
Not hundreds, but there's a lot. Church has hundreds.
Okay, everybody pull out your phone. Go to your contacts.
I started fresh the other day.
Oh, did you?
I lost all my,
Oh. It wasn't backed up?
it was backed up from like 2 years ago, so it's like kind of irrelevant.
Oh, gotcha. That's a question you either love or hate. Was it backed up? Either you're like, yes, or you're like, did you have to ask me that? All you have to do is hit the little number sign and it'll tell you how many contacts you got in your phone. How many contacts you got?
Number sign?
Yeah, at the bottom on the left-hand side. Do you have an iPhone?
No.
Do you guys have a number sign on the?
It's just
Wait, on the bottom.
Oh, just Z. He says it's a Z, not a number sign.
Oh.
We actually have a number sign.
If you go to the bottom,
Yeah, that'll take you to the bottom.
722.
Okay.
800.
Oh my
62?
God. Over
I
100.
only have 200.
200.
852.
Woo, girl. You go, girl.
How do you do it?
Oh, you got Marcus.
603.
So
Nice.
I went down.
Really?
Are you
Yeah,
at the
that's
bottom?
at the bottom, yeah.
Just kidding.
You've selected one, don't do that. Yeah, maybe go there. Actually, no.
Yeah, to label.
Does it say? No? That's it, go back.
No, I
What phone is this?
It's a Google Pixel 3a.
Correct.
Go to the
Yeah.
top.
Like 70,000.
And it doesn't say at the bottom. Search, maybe let's customize.
I have 1,057.
Whoa!
We have
You win.
Took me a while to figure out how many I had.
You did it.
All right. So, page 30. All I want you to do is highlight and underline on the third paragraph where it says calling for leads is the single most important step in building your business, just in case you haven't gotten that at this point. All right, the simple formula. Why can some agents make 100 calls a day and others fear the phone? Because successful agents follow a simple formula. So there's a gentleman, I'll send you guys the video today, and you can see him on the phone. His name, I don't know why it always escapes me. It'll come to me at some point, but he's this amazing script master, right? So why does one person become great at scripts and another person not become great at scripts?
Practice.
Excellent.
Just their personality.
Okay.
adjustment,
Meaning what?
changing things for the better when they're not working.
Good call.
Some scripts are for you know, some people might have to have their own little style and kind of twist on it.
True that, true that. So, and there isn't like a specific answer to this, but I think a lot of it is life experience. So this gentleman, and I'll send you a video after class today, I'll tell you why he's so good at scripts. Because he was homeless. And he said, I will never be homeless again. I think he caps in 30 days every single year. It's interesting how people can hit a point in their life where it flips a switch and they're like, give me anything, I will go and do it. I will not argue with you. I will literally read what you give me because I cannot be in that situation again. Isn't that interesting? Don't you wish you could kind of pull a little bit of like, how do I feel that pain so that I can just get rid of all those? Because you think the limiting beliefs were going to stop him? No way. He's living in a car. His wife was about to leave him, had kids. That'll shift it. Now he's Dave Norberg. I knew it would come to me. Dave Norberg. You can look up his videos online. He's got a ton of them. He's online with this guy. He does a live FSBO for sale by owner. For those of you who don't know what FSBO is. Live FSBO script. I think the guy says no to him 9 times. He gets the appointment. Just keeps going back to the scripts. Just keeps going back to the scripts. Because in his mind, if he doesn't do that, he'll end up in a car again. What's his name? Dave Norberg. He's got the greatest setup too. He's got like this stand-up desk, his scripts are in like this thing, and he's just flipping back and forth and just headphoning it. It's awesome. It's amazing. He's a script master. So do you guys understand you all use scripts right now in your life? You do. They're all scripts. The question you gotta ask yourself is, are they any good? You have things you say naturally to people. Yeah. They're your things that you said. 100%. We all have stuff. If you have kids, trust me, you got scripts. We don't know if they're effective or not. Sometimes you shift them because you're like, that one didn't work with that kid. That kid's different than that kid. That script worked with that kid, doesn't work with that kid. I don't know why that is. They can't just make them the same. It's so much easier that way. All right, so this is the reason that agents make 100 calls a day and others fear the phone. Agents that leverage powerful scripts, build the relationship, ask for the business. Hi there, come on through. So this is the one that a lot of people miss, is ask for the business, right? Yeah. Ask for the business. Back to your massage lady. Yeah. Ask for the business. Ask for referrals. Can I tell you guys a story? This is pretty funny. Last round of Ignite, I was making phone calls, and I called up someone. Honestly, I didn't even know if this was okay when I did it, but I called up this lady, and she's like, oh yeah, my husband and I have an offer, and they had been working with another agent, I knew that. An offer in on a property, and I was like, okay, so I can't discuss that scenario. I said, well, hey, you know anybody else who's looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate? I was like, why not? May as well ask. Honestly, I didn't know if I could. Found out. I got clarification later. They're like, yeah, as long as you're not talking about that trend. She had 2 referrals for me. In my mind, that agent, right? Like, why would you not? They're literally making offers with you, and you're not saying, hey, by the way, I took my business by referral. Who else do you know who's looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate? Total missed opportunity, right? Why not? Ask. You gotta ask for the referral. All right, income from contribution. Big deal. It comes back to your mindset, one of helping people and being positive. Focus on your goals, avoid attachment to the outcome, and you will succeed. All right, 4 powerful habits. So we're going to talk a little bit about the daily 10-4. I know we talked about that in orientation. Does anybody remember what the 10-4 things are? Cheater, it's on page 31. What are the daily 10-4 activities?
Add 10 new contacts every day.
Yes. Because you always want to be growing your database, right? So add 10 new contacts to your database. What else?
Speak with 10 in your database.
Yes. Speak with 10 people in your database. What else?
Write 10 notes.
Write 10 notes. Remember we talked about the notes. Way to set you apart. And what else do we have to do? And this is not daily, this is weekly.
Look at 10 homes.
Look at 10 homes, and how many of those homes need to be in person and how many can be online? Yes, Christine, 5 in person, 5 can be online. I give you that exception. And if you need to do 10 online one week and go to Caravan and do 10 in person the other week, that's totally fine. We just want you, we don't want it to always just be online education. You've got to get in homes, you got to feel it, you got to smell it, you got, right? Like, get it in. All right. So we have something called the daily104.com, which is awesome because it lets you track your activities. You guys want to check it out? I say it's my favorite radio station. You can relate, Marcus, because you know about radio.
Yep.
All right. Daily104.com. That is literally how you get in there. Let's see if this will let me in. I think if Sam signed in, it will let me in. So this is your tracker. Gotta sign in.
Is there a restroom?
Yeah, right next door, the keys are right there.
Right there,
All right, cool. So we're gonna go to my daily 104 tracker. No, we're not. We're gonna go there first. Now it's you. I know it's in the.
It's already there.
Oh, is it? Ah, there we go. Perfect. What do I have to do? Enter it.
Push enter.
I don't know how to use a computer. All right.
Do I?
That's my daily 104 tracker. So, I'm gonna go into Friday. I'm gonna be like, okay, what did I do on Friday? So I added 10 people in my database. Ooh, I added 11. I'm gonna go above and beyond. Make 10 connections. I have like a $1 million goal, so I'm gonna make 12. Why not, right?
Make 10 connections.
Conversations or in-persons is the connections, yes.
Okay.
So adding 10 to the database is 10 fresh people to the database. And then connections, the reason they call them connections in here is it's perfectly okay to do it in person, right? Like when you're out and about. That's just not very leverageable, right? Going and having 10 conversations out in real world takes a lot longer than just getting on the phone and having conversations. Yeah. Do text conversations count?
Yeah. Sure.
What's the rule?
If you follow it up with a phone conversation after.
I like that. If you actually talk about real estate.
Oh.
Right? Unless, and I give you this exception, especially if you're new to the business, like, I don't want you to just text all over people, like falling all over real estate. Hey, who do you know? They're like, what? Hello, we haven't talked in months, right? Like, build a little rapport, so. All right, I write 10 notes. Oh, I wrote 11. And I previewed 5 homes, 7 homes, and then I save it. Then I go back to my dashboard. And then it's got my tracker. So every day when you complete your activities, you go to your daily 104 and you just log it in. Make sense? It's pretty easy. Here's the thing. You can track your business or you can not track your business. The reality is though, if you can't come back to your tracker and see where you're at later, then you won't know what it takes to create an appointment. And then from what an appointment, what it takes to create an agreement, right? Like you gotta know your conversions. And this is the basis for your conversion. Does this make sense? Easy way to track your activity. Now, the other way you can track your activity, super high tech. You can grab one of these little pads and you can go 1, 14, 20. I spoke to, so conversations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. And as long as you keep this and you can actually like, you're gonna talk to your coach every 2 weeks, so you bring this with you and go, okay, so I talked to this many people, and then you can put it into like an Excel or something. All right, makes sense? But you want to be tracking your activities. Otherwise, you're gonna come back to me in 6 months and go, I wanna know how many appointments I have to go on to sell blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna go, okay, great, how many calls does it take to get an appointment? I don't know. So then we have to go by the average. How many phone calls does it take for a new agent to get an appointment?
80.
That's the average, is 80 calls. Yeah. How many calls does it take for a seasoned agent to get an appointment?
30.
I think it's 40. So it's half, right? So as you get better at it. Now what we want from you, Bob, is be like, no, it takes me 25, right? Or maybe less. Yeah. I can get an appointment in 10. I can get a referral in 10 calls, right? Like how many calls does it take for you? Because then we can sit down with Bob and we can go, this is how many calls you have to make every day to reach that goal.
Right.
All broken down.
Yep.
Make sense? Then you know if your activities are going to lead to what you're looking for. Pretty cool little tracker. I like this thing. I used to use it all the time. I have a different tracking system now, but it works. All right. You guys are all welcome to use this as long as you're up and connect. And I think you guys are all signed in at this point. If you've plugged in with Sam, you're definitely on Connect. So you can use the Daily 104 tracker. All right. I want to give you guys 5 minutes. Grab a drink, walk around, get up, move yourselves. Because when we come back, we're going to be doing some stuff. You ready for that? You ready to do some stuff? Stretch, 5 minutes.
What's the orientation that you're talking about?
So that was part of city coaching orientation, which happened on Friday.
Hawaiian.
PC orientation. Are you working with Kaomi?
So I don't have, I just signed up like right, during the holidays.
Oh,
with
okay.
us. So, one person I talked to is Lisa,
Okay, so you and I, how did you get your license?
through Hawaii City.
Okay, got it. So.
Michelle is my person.
I have a 14.
There you go. Okay. I'm not sure why you're not in the info, but yeah, after a real, right?
Yeah, so yesterday I went to do
Yeah, that's
the
seriously,
exam.
I'm like, I don't remember.
Orientation?
Yeah, but I had zero, just signed up, I just paid my dues and stuff, and I tried to go there and like, just made it happen, but then like, yeah, I can't do it.
And then
But
even
I
like.
paid yesterday,
Okay.
so I feel the orientation next month, but
Okay,
hopefully,
perfect.
but I think that they're gonna send me all the info I need for like,
Once you get in, you'll be able to go in and do that. You just,
Time.
you wanna go to that orientation and help you, but I still want you to go through all of it.
I have the information.
Yeah,
It
works, I just.
Where is it?
Yeah, and I have this
No,
other
it's
sheet
literally
too.
the door right here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, go next door. I think, I forgot his name, has the
Probably not,
keys.
but-
Yeah, so I'm just a little behind the ball, so I
No
don't,
worries.
I don't know like who my coach is or.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, and also the Kelly Williams email, I have.
Yes. Okay, so you're gonna wanna go see Sam,
Okay.
who is front desk here,
Okay.
and you're gonna tell her it's from friends, and plug in and do all that fun stuff,
Okay,
and then she'll set you up.
sweet, yeah, this is all like in the past like week or two, so.
Yeah, no worries, we'll get you up to speed.
Thank you.
You just got this email?
Yeah?
Do you think they're ever gonna get that price when they have that as a title? I mean,
It's
don't
like-
you, don't
like,
you just wonder?
25, 50, 75% off.
75, yeah,
Right?
hear this,
We're getting,
Here's the price.
75% off.
but very, very, very motivated seller. Do you think they're ever gonna get that price?
Jeez, that's like
How
scary.
stupid is that?
So
I mean, how dumb is that?
We were kind of emailing back or texting back and forth.
Yes, I just got this email.
I'm sure yet.
They wanna sell it for $339 and the header of the
So I can
email is
fill out
very,
the form
very,
to
very
the,
motivated seller.
Where is it?
There's 25,000,
Oh,
there's
it's on sale now.
25,000, there's
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
25,000.
she'll
Wait,
be
why
able
is
to-
that?
But I wanna talk to you about how many.
Well, because,
So I have
okay, it's just
obligated
listed at $339,
to do.
but the title of the email is very, very, very
I do at least
motivated
3.
seller.
Everyone's gonna
And
own
then-
it.
So that means that's 10,000 off,
When I
that's
was-
another 10,000 off, that's another 10,000 off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Things.
Where, is it a
You're
condo?
No, it's a piece of land
Need-
Where?
It's like the
in the Hiku.
colored bursts. But I mean,
Is that a new listing?
Dude.
Beachfront.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Single-family residence.
I don't know.
Whatever it is.
Yourself before you
I have
start.
those
I don't know.
kind of stuff. And then
Okay.
I do a bunch of directionals. Like I will do open houses. I've done caravan open houses before in Kihei Villages, which if you've ever been in Kihei Villages, it's like a maze in there. And every Asian walks in, they're like, thank you for telling us I'm literally like, turn here, park here, walk here, come up the stairs here, here's my flag. The more direction you can give people, the better.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're gonna do mostly houses anyway, right?
Well, to start off, we have one in Wailea and one Kapalua Bay and Kapalua Village.
Okay.
So we have 3 that I'm kind of rotating
Okay,
with
perfect.
right now. So,
Yeah, and those are good price range too, right?
they're between 1 and 1.5.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And those are condos?
yeah, townhouses.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
just make sure and find out what the rules are in the townhouses, cause you can't put signs around the lot. In Wailea, you can't put any until you get to the development. But what a lot of people do is they park their car and they put a sign on top of their car.
Oh. But yes,
You
there's
put
houses,
carpet on
there is
top of your
houses
car
as
first,
well,
but-
but those 3 are the
Yeah,
key right now.
So are all the ignites here? Yeah.
all right here at 9 to noon. Yep. Oh, lots of different instructors though. I'm not the only one.
Okay. Yeah, I live with Alyssa Hudson and her boyfriend, which is Todd Hudson's daughter.
Oh, I don't even know his daughter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know, I met him once, but,
Todd?
Todd's a freaking character.
yeah.
He's gonna teach one of the classes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
on one of the sheets.
Yeah, I got him to teach. I was like, you teach for me. He's like, okay. He's so funny.
Yeah, his wife was in the course I took.